Street Crypto Hub, and this is Eureka John, and I'm your host, broadcasting from Leander, Texas, just outside of Austin. And there you are. Okay, I wanted to go online this morning and do another broadcast. It is Wednesday morning, December 2nd, 2020, and today I'm going to try to tackle a difficult behemoth of a project, and I'm going to try to do it briefly and understandably, and good luck, right? Okay, so anyway, this project is called Energy Web, and there's the Energy Web Foundation, energyweb.org. There's the Energy Web token, which is the cryptocurrency associated with it, and this project aims to completely restructure the way we think about power and energy and the way it is used and distributed and bought and sold. So let us begin here. Let me pull up a document here, and oh lordy. All right, so what is Energy Web token? Energy Web, okay, basically solar power. It used to be more expensive than fossil fuels back in 2009. Everybody loved the idea of solar power and wind power and all that, except it just was so expensive to make and create, and the output of all the devices generating the solar power was just not enough to really contribute any type of significant amount, and the kilowatt units that it would output were not near enough and did not even compare to what natural gas and other types of fossil fuels could produce. Since then, as a result, around 2009 and afterwards, solar stocks completely crashed after the hype had kind of worn off. And since then, there's been a lot of advancements, and solar power has now become cheaper than fossil fuels. And and the output is greater, and so the devices creating the solar power and the wind generation have become more advanced and are able to output more energy. And I'm not saying that I'm for or against fossil fuels or solar power. You know, they're all very valid forms of energy. I'm not going to try to get political on one camp or the other. I'm just trying to explain what this project is and some of the changes happening in the energy industry. And these players in this energy industry deal in fossil fuels as well, such as Shell and Total. They're two of the biggest names in fossil fuel energy production, but are also getting involved in the blockchain world and in solar and in all this other new stuff that's going on. So they're not limiting themselves to this one particular niche or that particular niche of fossil fuels or solar power. It could be fossil fuels and solar power. So I don't want to just divide everybody into political camps. Anyway, what I'm saying here is I'm not trying to advertise this token as something you should buy, because I don't do financial advice, so I just have to get that out of the way. I don't take my financial advice. I'm as if you've been watching me for a little bit, you can see a pattern in which I cover tokens that do things, and I'm really kind of focused on what does a token and a project do now, rather than doing technical analysis and looking at charts and stuff like that to see the money-making potential. I mean, if there's money-making potential in it, that's great, and I do want to focus on tokens that will make me money, and I do believe Energy Web token will make me money in the future by investing in it. But I tend to gravitate towards tokens with a little bit of infrastructure focus. Theta token has infrastructure focus on it. The Ocean protocol has infrastructure focus, creating a data marketplace. The Energy Web token here has infrastructure focus with the energy infrastructure. I mean, Ethereum is completely infrastructure focused with creating the Ethereum virtual machine in order to create the world computer. So the projects that I tend to gravitate towards and talk about, I talked about Noia yesterday, and that is infrastructure focused on creating a faster internet by avoiding areas of congestion on the network. So and I got my soda water here today. These can't be good for me. I mean, but I guess it's better than beer. Anyway, so Energy Web Token. Let's take a quick look at the market, and let me go into the Brave browser, and we'll open this up. I will minimize myself here, put myself in a corner, and I will get rid of this text. Ta-da! And I'll just put this logo real small, and then we'll get this a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay, so and let me minimize myself just a little bit more. Okay. All right, so let's see. Let's check out the token. It is currently at $6.01, so that's pretty cheap for this token. It's gone up to let's see here. In the past 90 days, I mean, I think it's gone up to around $12. At some point, is it 11.10 then? And I feel like it's gone even further. 12.98. The all-time high is 13.65, and it hit that in August 20th. I do have a decent little bag of Energy Web Token, and I bought it way down here around like $3 and $4 and stuff, which is great. And then, a lot of people, I guess, have sold whenever it hit $13. I'm holding on to it. I hold on to things for long term. Anything that I'm buying now, I'm planning on holding on at least a year or two. I want to let these projects develop. The alt market is not quite like Bitcoin. You can make really quick gains, but a lot of these low cap alts are going to end up increasing in price significantly if they become successful, and that's why I try to find the use cases and projects that I do think will grow with partnerships, good teams, good use cases. It's kind of a trifecta of success. So a good use case, a good team, and whatever else I said. Freaking cat's in heat meowing over there, and it's driving me nuts. It wasn't my idea to get a kitten, that's for sure. Okay, let's see here. Let's look at the market in general. Okay, everything's a little down today, kind of retracing, which is good, and that is perfectly healthy. I like it when markets retrace. One, it gets an opportunity to buy. I don't really have extra cash laying around right now, but if I did, I would be buying right now. So not financial advice, but take an opportunity when it presents itself. So we got Ethereum at 591, Bitcoin at 18,981, Chainlink at 1367, Polkadot at 523. So even though it's down, it's actually, the market is way up compared to a month ago. So count your blessings. Aave token, man, it's been kicking butt. 87.23. I'm a big fan of the Aave platform, and I do have some Aave tokens, and I bought them at a fraction of this cost. So I'm doing all right with that one. And Theta Network, I did see that here. Let's see, where'd it go? There it is, sitting at 63 cents. Big believer in the Theta Network. I broadcast on it. So anyway, Energy Web Token. Let me get back to this window. Where was it? Okay. Energy Web is based in Zug, Switzerland. Let me get to their website. And Zug just so happens to be the place where the Ethereum Foundation was established, and where all that group of people and developers that established the Ethereum blockchain and the Ethereum virtual machine, they went and established all that in Zug. And because Zug is Switzerland in general is very crypto friendly, and a lot of the larger banks and institutions are curious about and work with crypto, and they don't highly regulate crypto there in order to allow productivity and creativity in the space, which is great. So this works really well in the energy industry, being in a place where blockchain can be developed in a free-form fashion and creatively without tons of regulation, in order to be able to figure out how to do it. It was necessary to create a blockchain designed for energy that the industry would accept. In 2017, during all this ICO, which is initial coin offering. It's a way to fundraise for a blockchain project. There was just tons of ICOs and white papers being written, and a white paper is basically a business plan for a blockchain project. And people were raising money right and left, and the investors in a lot of these projects were seeing their coins just completely pump up, and it was just complete hype. And the bubbles popped, and in the beginning of 2018, everything just completely crashed. And there was several of these energy-based projects. I'm not going to name a bunch of names, but there's only maybe a few in existence still now. But a lot of them fizzled off, to say the least. But the reason is because the energy industry is old money. It's a lot of old white men, basically, that run the thing. They don't want to change. They're making a bunch of money already. Everybody surrounding it is making a bunch of money on power lines, grid infrastructure, substations, you name it, power plants. They're not going to just hand over the keys to all this money-making infrastructure to just some nerds who want to create a blockchain and then a cryptocurrency with it. So they're not even going to give them the time of day. Why would Shell listen to a group of blockchain nerds? They're not going to go out seeking the blockchain. What they're doing right now works for them. So Energy Web needs to go knock on Shell's door. They need to knock on Total Petroleum's door and and General Electric. These big guys aren't going to go reach out to Energy Web for sure. From their point of view, if it's not broken, no need to fix it. And from their point of view, it's not broken. From our point of view, yes, the energy grid is kind of broken right now. The energy industry as a whole is broken. And then depending on your leanings, a lot of people are pushing for certain types of change, and in the energy industry as well. So anyway, the Energy Web Foundation Chief Commercial Officer Jesse Morris, he's explaining a gap that blockchain fills. He says, quote unquote, "We really don't have a digital infrastructure capable of orchestrating and coordinating millions, potentially billions of internet connected devices. That's whether we're talking about electric vehicles, whether we're talking about batteries, whether we're talking about power plants. Most of the grid is pretty analog. Blockchains would appear to be able to solve some of the challenges that the energy sector is facing in this. We don't have digital identities for customers in most cases. We don't have digital identities for assets. We don't have a way, for example, for devices like a Tesla Powerwall to conduct financial settlement at extremely low cost in an automated way." So what that means is a lot of these devices, these thermostats, these power walls, our cars and everything are set up to work with IoT transmitters. And IoT is Internet of Things, is what that stands for. And everything that we're doing is connected to the internet in some way. And what the Energy Web Foundation is trying to do is to try to not make all these autonomous and just kind of floating out there. They're trying to connect them all to where they can communicate with each other. So let's see here. By doing this, the Energy Web assigns a digital identity using a W3C identifier to any energy asset, person, or abstract concept like a carbon credit, or even another abstract concept like an avoided energy usage such as energy savings, and that's called a negawatt, not a megawatt. So any energy that somebody can save is a unit of negawatts. And a way to be able to make this transactable and identified, and to be able to trace the sources of where a lot of this energy is coming from, whether or not it's fossil fuel or green energy, they're attaching a W3C digital identifier on it in order to be able to trace the energy from source to consumption. And that way they can do microtransactions and figure out who to charge what. And if a person has a store of energy in their house from their power wall, and their neighbor has a high energy demand and they're not using their energy, they can sell that energy to their neighbor. That's kind of a really low-level use case for it, but maybe it's an example you could possibly relate to. You're out of town, you're not using your energy, and your neighbor is running 10,000 Christmas lights around his house. You can sell, theoretically speaking, your energy using the software on your phone controlling your power wall to your neighbor, and the way that is enabled is through the Energy Web and the Energy Web token, and being able to sell, and you would earn Energy Web tokens in exchange. That's just one example, but it's a way to kind of create some kind of marketplace out of energy, and that's where grid singularity comes in, and which I'll get to that in a second. Let's take a look at the website here real quick. Renewable energy markets is one of their solutions. In 2017, the world generated more than 9,000 terawatt hours of low carbon electricity. That's a whole lot. In 2019, a record 75% of new generating capacity was renewable. There's so much room for improvement in renewable energy markets, including those for renewable energy certificates. Okay. Guarantees of origin in Europe, and the international REC standard elsewhere around the world. Okay. Digitized proof of impact platforms can address existing market pain points and catalyze demand among buyers. So when you have the digital ID, you can basically run it through data crunching algorithms and figure out where need and demand is. Let's see here. And the decentralized application creates kind of not a top-down approach of a power company passing down their costs to where the end user actually is the one that has to take it up. There's a good illustration right here. Energy singularity framework for a new market design. Simulate a new market model enabling new markets behind the meter. So here in this example right here, you can see energy producer, and that's the utility company, and then here's the infrastructure right here, and then here's the consumer right here with the bill. That's the traditional way, and all these costs are just passed on down to where me and you have to pay for it. It's a centralized need for fossil fuel, huge investments in power lines, all that overhead costs, the high energy transportation costs, everything that's needed. What happened? Consumer became prosumer, and renewable energy is the new standard. And this is a hackathon that they're talking about here called Odyssey. There's a lot of stuff going on right now about this. A lot of hackathons. What a hackathon is when a team of developers all participate in a contest in order to try to create solutions to certain problems, and they present them, and then the winners get prizes and stuff. So at the hackathon, simulating 1 year and 48 hours, stakeholders can opt in, contribute APIs, and hack to meet APIs. Okay, so here it goes. It shows decentralized, renewable, cheaper than centralized, using local renewable energy sources. Everything is online. So that's kind of a little cartoony sketch. This is that hackathon. Let's see here. Why we're looking for the energy market is transforming at an ever-increasing speed. It is decentralizing because the market is at the parity point where generation behind the consumer's meter is competitive to the legacy system. So these solar panels are able to generate enough power in order to become competitive to power plants. So if you have enough houses with solar power and wind panel producing energy, the power plants are actually getting some major competition with the advancements in the solar panels that are able to now generate enough energy where previously back in 2009 they weren't. And they're able to generate enough energy to compete with these power plants, and then the people can sell their power, or substations and stuff like that, or energy companies, conglomerates, and co-ops and groups like that would be able to sell their gathered power to other entities. The current energy grid was not designed for the energy going two ways. It's monopolistic, top-down, and the financial consumers are not considered as active market players. Regulators are drafting new opportunities that will enable prosumers to actively participate in the market. This transformation creates very large technical, regulatory, and business challenges for all stakeholders in the market: energy companies, DSOs, TSOs, final consumers, and regulators. In this track, all stakeholders come to the table to experiment and immediately validate new ideas and solutions. Future energy markets are driven bottom up, from the consumer up, each individual house up, and with advantages such as security, economics, and scalability over top-down markets. Selling your energy to your neighbor means less loss of energy and costs due to transportation. Selling to your neighbor equals more revenue for your energy. For the consumer, there's a plethora of new degrees of freedom and interaction like this one, as energy is one of the underlying essences that connects all businesses within society. So this could be really cool if it done correctly and in the right hands. I would love, that's why I haven't gotten solar panels on my house yet. I'm waiting for a lot of this technology to develop, and I constantly preach. They were trying to put all this conduit system in my house, and I remember my previous house was built in 1962, and I had just several generations worth of internet technology and security systems and wiring and cable all throughout my house that was just old bones just sitting there that's been outdated. And I had an electrician come to my house trying to change stuff out, and he's just like, you just have so many dead wires and boxes and panels in your house that are just outdated. And that's kind of what I don't want to happen with solar panels and a lot of this equipment that people are throwing on their houses. Is it's going to get outdated. Already solar panels from 2009 are completely outdated. What are they doing with those? So that's kind of why I'm waiting for a lot of this stuff to develop. And plus my wife can't stand the look of the solar panels in the house. It's ugly. But anyway, this hackathon is called Odyssey. It's odyssey.org. If you're interested in that, take a look. But anyway, let's get back to the Energy Web website. So the open source, all this stuff is open source, meaning that any developer can add on to it. Now what Energy Web is, it's the Energy Web token. Okay, the Energy Web chain is a blockchain. It's just like Ethereum. It's pretty much an Ethereum virtual machine, and it even has the same developers. Let's go into Grid Singularity here, and Grid Singularity is the company or project or organization that has helped build the Energy Web chain. And as you can see here, they're partnered up with the Rocky Mountain Institute, which is Rocky Mountain. RMI.org is they're kind of a think tank in how to create change and transform global energy to use a clean, prosperous, and secure low carbon future. They engage businesses, communities, institutions, and entrepreneurs to accelerate the adoption of market-based solutions and cost-effectively shift from fossil fuels to efficiency and renewables. Basically, they're a non-profit organization that is looking to ease a transition between fossil fuels to efficient and renewable energy without completely making everybody go bust and causing war and friction and all types of stuff, because there's a lot of money right now being made in the fossil fuel world, and you can't just pull the rug on these people. Otherwise there will be chaos and war, and the Rocky Mountain Institute seems to be looking to try to alleviate that, but with a slow, gradual technological change that works out for all parties. So here's kind of a graphic of one house needing power, and these other two houses can share their power with that house, and they will be accounted for, and they will receive compensation for the power that they share through the microtransactions. And that is done through devices connected through the IoT devices on their power walls, and through transaction software in which they can auction off or sell their extra power to their neighbor or to anybody else for that matter. Let's take a look at the team for Grid Singularity who's making this Energy Web chain. They have a crazy amazing team. Let's see here. I can't go over everybody. This guy, Ewald Hess, he has an amazing track record in the energy industry. He has a science degree in mechanical engineering and project management. He speaks all over the world and is preaching this gospel of the Energy Web Foundation, and he's making huge strides with large companies. Let's see here. we have, here's Gavin Wood. He's one of the original Ethereum founders for the Ethereum Foundation, chief technology and co-founder of the Ethereum project. Some would argue that he's basically the one who coded Ethereum, but that's up for speculation and controversy. He's the co-designer of the Ethereum protocol, author of its formal specification, as the creator and author of the first functional Ethereum implementation. He designed and stewarded the Solidity language. Solidity language is the programming language in order to create smart contracts, and that is what Ethereum is written in. And it's a lot like JavaScript, but used for blockchain and the Ethereum platform. Let's see here. He has pushed state-of-the-art in analysis tools and programming languages, and he's co-founded several technology startups. His new initiative is Polkadot Protocol, which allows different blockchains to be able to interoperate with each other and parachains and stuff like that. It gets pretty technical if you are a noob in this field, and it's probably going to be hard to understand or impossible to understand. I already find it hard to understand, and I'm not a complete noob. So there's a great team here. I'm not going to go through them all with respect for time, but feel free to take a look. It's on the gridsingularity.com website. Anyway, the energy web chain. Okay, so energy web is a semi-permissioned chain. All right, and what that means is that there is a layer at the bottom layer for the users. Anybody can access the blockchain, just like the Ethereum blockchain. You can plug in your Web3 website. Like, for instance, take uniswap.org. Let's go to Uniswap, and I'll show you what a Web3 website looks like. All right, uniswap.org, and here we go. Launch app. And then this takes you to a Uniswap is where you can exchange from one token to another. And then see right up here in the corner where you connect your MetaMask wallet, which holds your cryptocurrency on your browser. That is a Web3 application right here. A website that allows you to do transactions on the blockchain built into the website. So what the Energy Web token does, it allows these apps and these devices to connect to the Energy Web chain at a user level. So that is public, that is permissionless. However, in order to validate, it uses a proof of authority mechanism, in which only the validators and the people running the nodes and the companies running the nodes all have to be approved by the Energy Web Foundation. So not just anybody who is holding, say, 10,000 Energy Web tokens can run a node and stake them and run it themselves. You have to be approved. So that is a permissioned section of the blockchain. So that's why it's called semi-permissioned. Proof of authority is used instead of proof of work. It would kind of go contrary to Energy Web Foundation to use a proof of work mechanism on their blockchain, because proof of work takes a bunch of computing power, and say, for instance, the Bitcoin network right now is proof of work. They have to have miners create blocks through high-powered computers running algorithms in order to create transactions and validate transactions and create blocks on the blockchain. And to solve these problems, you chews up tons of power, and the blockchain network uses more power than a small country, or maybe even medium-sized country. So it would go against what Energy Web Foundation is all about in order to do that. So they use proof of authority instead, not proof of stake. Proof of stake would mean that the validators running the nodes could just be anybody without a permission. Instead, they have to have permission in order to be a validator and to run a node. Initially, 10 approved companies are running validator nodes, and they'll expand that out after the projects develop a little bit. The companies running the validators right now are a mix of utilities, grid operators, and blockchain developers. By using proof of authority, Energy Web Foundation can enable low-cost transactions and better scalability. Let's see. For access to the lower consumer level of the blockchain, anyone can access with their Web3 page on their device. Since it's a public blockchain, validators need to be compensated. So there's a token, the Energy Web token. The Energy Web Foundation did not run an ICO, an initial coin offering, to raise money. It's received contributions from a lot of these large corporations because they're going to be the ones basically being the validators. And they're helping to build the dApps, the decentralized applications, and spearheading community building efforts. Let's see, and all the organizations that made contributions like this, they received the initial tokens for the initial coin offering. That didn't happen. So if the owner of a device, say for instance, on my phone controlling my Powerwall at home, and I need to sell some energy back to the marketplace, and I had to request access to the blockchain every time, it's not going to work. So that's why they made that open and available and permissionless. So is the word for it. Let's see what the Energy Web does. It assigns a digital identity to any energy asset person. Okay, so it's a W3C identifier. It's a piece of code, a hash, a crypto hash, and it's used to certify and create traceability with that energy and where it's coming from and where it's going and how much of it is being used, and so on and so forth. Large companies, large companies kind of have a responsibility, a social responsibility, and especially with the way government things are going now, they're being audited on things like that, so they have to keep track of it, and so that is incentive for them to want to fall in line with this. Let me see here. Basically it helps corporations identify where their energy comes from. This is huge in disclosing how corporations are meeting their social responsibility targets. That's the word I was looking for. They have to meet social responsibility targets nowadays, and especially with a lot of new legislation being implemented, and they have to do this on an annual basis for kind of an annual audit, figuring out whether or not that they are contributing or taking away from society, and it's kind of a way for oversight on a lot of these energy companies that it's getting tighter and tighter. This Energy Web Foundation allows for traceability, it allows for social responsibility, it allows lower level consumers like you and I to get involved in the marketplace, in the energy marketplace, which has traditionally been completely unavailable, and it's doing this through our devices and through things like grid singularity. Tesla has a program called Auto Bidder, in which you'll be able to put your energy up for auto bid on the system. So an auto bidder provides independent power producers, utilities, and capital partners the ability to autonomously monetize battery assets. So any energy that is gathered through your solar panel in your house and put it into your Powerwall, you can use the auto bidder program to monetize the power that's stored in your battery, and you can sell and buy it as needed. It's a real-time trading and control platform that provides value-based asset management and portfolio optimization, enabling owners and operators to configure operational strategies that maximize revenue according to their business objectives and risk preferences. It's successfully operating at Hornsdale Power Reserve in South Australia. They did a test market with about 50,000 houses, I believe, and through market bidding has added competition to drive down energy prices. Value stacked monetization, real-time market operations, machine learning and optimization algorithms, and warranty protection. Let's see here. So this is on the Tesla.com website. Real-time market operations. Here's the interface. AutoBidder has hundreds of megawatt hours of assets under management that have supplied gigawatt hours of grid services globally. It operates at every scale, from aggregations behind the meter residential systems to 100 megawatt utility scale installations with seamless integration between hardware and software. It can be trusted to capture revenues immediately after project energization in the 24/7 and dynamic environments. It's hosted on Tesla's highly reliable and secure cloud infrastructure that is engineered to platform large-scale complex computation. There's no direct partnership between Energy Web and Tesla, but through Grid Singularity and through AutoBidder and all this stuff, there is a lot of support here and indirect partnerships. Let's go here and check out what happened here in Australia. Batteries, key in the future energy storage landscape. The need for battery storage. The Hornsdale Power Reserve, developed and operated by Neon in response to a process by the South Australian government, supplied by Tesla, is an undeniable success. It gives the background here. Basically, there was a huge tragedy in Australia, and the power grid completely went down, and Tesla said that he would have it up, I believe, within about 6 months or a year or something like that. And he said otherwise it's free, you don't have to pay for it if I don't get it done in time. And he went in there and created this grid and this infrastructure and a battery system to gather energy and to be able to create an energy marketplace in which all these houses could basically feed off of each other and power each other through a decentralized power grid. So that's a pretty interesting. It's auracongroup.com. And then here is one of the devices that gather that energy. This is part of the hardware, and it's Ledger, and it's the same company that makes the Ledger, Ledger S, Nano, and all that stuff that connects to your computer by USB drive, and it's to be able to do cold storage for your crypto assets. So you don't have to store your Bitcoin in any computer that goes online. You can put it all on your Ledger, and from there you can unplug it from your computer and off the grid whatsoever, so nobody could possibly ever hack in to your Ledger assets. And so all your cryptocurrency is stored on your Ledger drive, so in your flash drive. So what this is this is basically attached to the meter, and look here, and it detects and attaches the digital IDs to your power, wherever the power is generated, whether it be from your solar panel or whether it be from a large solar field like the one in Las Vegas that just got built that Warren Buffett happened to be partnered with in financing. So you might want to look into that one. Anyway, that's this short little sidetrack. But what this Ledger Origin does, it for instance, it's used in a lot of different aspects. It attaches digital IDs to supply chain, automotive, health, consumer electronics, but energy here. Guarantee of origin issuance, irrefutable attestation, providing green energy production, stamped to proof origin, and registered on a blockchain. What this Ledger Origin does, it is a registry that stamps proof of origin. And for something like supply chain, it would stamp stopping points and transfer of custody between one point and another, and it would cement that on a blockchain that cannot be altered, and it's a proof of record. So that is what the Ledger Origin does, and that's how digital identifiers get attached to energy in order to be sold on Grid Singularity through the Powerwall, in order to be sold on the AutoBidder, and then through Grid Singularity and the software to be put on the Energy Web, the Energy Web chain. So here we go. Ta-da! If you want to read the white paper, it's on the energyweb.org website. And then there's the token here. The token, let's see more about the token. So here's the token. It's available on just a handful of exchanges. Bitmart, Liquid Network, Liquid Exchange. I don't know much about that exchange. Let's see where else I had it written down. No, not there. Uniswap, I believe, and then there's another one. So, and KuCoin, but KuCoin just got hacked. I'd probably stay away from there. Bitmart is probably the best one. It's a U.S. regulated exchange. Even though Bitmart is a smaller exchange, I do have a membership to Bitmart. You just have to do your basic KYC. KYC stands for Know Your Customer, in which you're going to have to give your photo ID, take a selfie of yourself, write on a piece of paper the date you're taking a selfie so they can verify who you are. That's all it really is. And then you have to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum on there. I believe Bitmart at this point you can only trade Bitcoin for Energy Web Token. Let's see here. Let's go to Bitmart, and I have the app on my phone as well. But Bitmart here, it's a trading platform, just another centralized exchange basically. And let's see here, markets, and let's see, Energy Web Token. I think the Energy Web Token's actually brought a lot of traffic to this exchange here because it's not really available anywhere else. So here it is, Energy Web to Bitcoin. You have to buy Bitcoin, and then through this exchange you can trade for the Energy Web Token, and you can keep it on this exchange, which I wouldn't recommend. You can actually transfer your Energy Web Token to MetaMask, but what you have to do is set up a new here, let me go into my MetaMask crypto wallets. I got just a little bit in my browser. I don't try to keep a lot of stuff online, just enough to play around with and to demonstrate things with. But for instance, here is a main Ethereum network, and then you can go down here and you can create a custom RPC. I don't have it set up on this one, but if you can create a custom RPC, and then from there you can set up an Energy Web Token wallet on your MetaMask. So Energy Web Token and MetaMask. So there are options to store EWT tokens in your MetaMask, and right here on hsvgtsmedium.com, yeah, so here you go. It tells you how to do it. There are ways to do it. All you got to do is Google what I did, Energy Web Token on MetaMask, and it'll tell you how to set it up on your ledger, the flash drive, or on your MetaMask. And yeah, I've done that. It's worked for me and it's been successful. So there are ways to do it. If you want to figure out how to do it and you have any questions, feel free to leave me a message. Go to Twitter and DM me, whatever you want to do. Elio Trades does a good video on Energy Web. So does Guy at Coin Bureau. Oops, that's the wrong one. Chico Crypto does a great expose. Why do I always say expose? Not an expose, but a great coverage of Energy Web Token. And here's a good article here. This is on ledgerinsights.com, and it explains it very well about what Energy Web Foundation is. What is it for? It's so electricity consumers can confirm their electricity source is from renewable energy. There's a couple examples of the projects. There are dApps around electric vehicle charging, making the process simpler. And then the more complicated area is demand response to smooth supply and demand during off-peak periods. So what this can mean, and if used correctly, is you see a lot of brownouts and stuff in California because there's too much demand and stress on the chain. What this may be able to do is to create microtransactions in which they can determine which houses are using more energy and which ones are using less energy. For instance, houses that might be out of town, and if everybody has solar panels on their houses, they can determine which houses don't need to be using energy right then, and they can channel some of that energy to another house, and then the person whose energy is being channeled will be compensated for that and that could work great, or it could be completely disastrous depending on if you have a dictator in charge. So that's all up for debate. I'm not here for that philosophical debate. Let's see. Then it talks about the semi-permissioned blockchain, it being a proof of authority instead of a proof of work. Let's see here. Yeah, so anyway, let's look at the Energy Web Foundation partnerships. Partnership. Oh, okay, it's close enough. The ecosystem. So look at these names. There's some really big names here. Duke Energy. These are just ones that I know. Eneco, General Electric. I mean, I'm sure there's PG&E here. There's Shell, Siemens, Total, TEPCO, Tenaska, Vodafone. I mean, the names are huge, and like I was saying at the beginning of this video, these companies are not going to go seek out Energy Web. Energy Web has to go seek them out, and that is probably the sole reason why this project over some of these others is beginning to be successful. These other projects that have popped up, I've just haven't had the partnerships. You know, they haven't had the people involved in these projects that are deep in the industry in the same way Energy Web is. So the people involved in the Energy Web Foundation are also deep in the energy industry, and they come from the energy industry. They speak the energy industry language. So it only makes sense. Let me see if I'm leaving anything out right now. So I covered the Energy Web origin, the ledger origin. So let's see, Energy Flex are the consumer devices that assign digital IDs, and that is basically the ledger origin that I highlighted. Let's see, megawatts, the savings units, the digital identifier. Okay, so I think I've covered everything that I kind of wanted to cover. There's obviously a lot more involved in here. One of the other projects was Power Ledger. You might want to take a look at that and compare and contrast with the Energy Web Foundation. So I don't know much about Power Ledger, but I think it is trying to compete with the Energy Web Foundation, and it might be something for you to take a look at. I don't think that they have the same connections in the same way that the Energy Web Foundation does, but it's worth a look. So do your own research, give it a whirl, and see what happens. Anyway, that's as long as I wanted to make this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash that like button, or smash the unlike button. Let me know how I did if you have any questions. Enjoy your Wednesday, and let's try to all contribute to something positive, make the world a better place. And I'm gonna sign out. I'll probably jump on Theta Network here and just kind of have that going as I do more work today and research. I do have to do some spreadsheets from my real job as well. You guys have a good day, and I will talk to you probably sometime soon. Don't know what I'm gonna cover next, but I'll figure it out.